and I am, I think, on month 2. So I'm super new and excited to be here with all of you. So like Katie said, I work with our new mentors, or all of our mentors, finding new mentors and instructors, and also working with some community partners as well. So I'm excited to hopefully get a chance to connect with all of you. And if there's any interest out there in volunteering, I am your go-to for that.
Awesome. Yes, we are so excited to have Morgan on the team. She's been phenomenal in her short 2 months, but she has come in and started kicking butt. So we are happy for that. And so we are going to just dive on in. And so the way tonight's going to work is I'm going to do a brief overview of what SD Codes is, why we exist, what resources we offer, and then we are going to go, Alex is going to dive in a little bit more to the curriculum side of the house and talk about some of our courses and some exciting things that we have just launched recently. And then Morgan's also going to talk, like I said, more about that mentorship and the benefits of connecting with a mentor as a learner on our site. And so I'm going to share my screen and go through just a quick presentation, not to bore you all, and share a little bit more about who we are. So bear with me one moment. All right, can you all see my screen? Got some thumbs up. Awesome, great. So again, welcome. So excited that you are here. And we are SD Codes. And we exist for a number of reasons, but one of the main ones is the fact that this industry is growing so quickly, and there is no business or organization that can promote, produce, deliver, e-commerce sites. Nothing, you can't do any of that without technology. And so as of like 4 o'clock today, there are currently almost 400 open developer jobs in South Carolina. And so why do we exist? This is data from the 2019 CompTIA report, and this is specifically to South Carolina. There were more than 5,000 jobs in the tech sector added in 2019 in South Carolina. The tech sector makes up 6% of our state's economy, and there were over 34,000 tech job postings during 2019. We currently have about 130,000, more than that now, these are last year's numbers, currently employed in the tech sector, and 6,600 plus tech-related businesses. And the annual mean wage for these developers in South Carolina is $72,000. And this is higher, if you've seen, I don't have it included in this one, but there was a recent report that came out from Charleston Open Source that showed kind of like the South Carolina average salary just for all employees, and this is almost double. And so in short, there are really great jobs for people with technical skills right here in South Carolina, but unfortunately there just aren't enough people with those technical skills to fill these roles. And so there's also the barrier of education. And so many of you may be here because you don't necessarily have the time or the budget to attend a 2 or 4 year school and get a formal degree. And luckily within software development, you don't really need that majority of the time. And so this is where we come in. And so we are a collaboration powered by the South Carolina Department of Commerce's Office of Innovation. It's a mouthful. And then also Build Carolina. So Build Carolina is our larger, nonprofit that SD Codes is housed under. Also Carolina Code School is a part of that. And so, which is our boot camp side of things. And up in the upstate, we're always happy to provide more information about that as well, should you be interested. But basically, we're just a platform that is built to connect South Carolinians to the education and resources they need to unlock careers in technology. And so how we do this, it's first and foremost through our free online curriculum. Everything on SD Codes is and will forever be free to South Carolina residents. And what really sets us apart from a lot of other free coding resources that exist out there is our mentors. And so we have a huge network of mentors who are software developers working here in our state in the industry who want to give back by helping learners who are going through our courses on our platform. And if they have a technical question, or if they have a question about like, hey, what's the chance of me getting a job when I get out of here? What tips or tricks do I need when I go into a technical interview? Really, anything within this realm, these mentors have the experience and they are willing to help you as a learner succeed. And so we have in the past done in-person classes. Eventually, hopefully we'll get back to that as well. We partner with organizations throughout the state who have similar goals. We host statewide events. Actually, next week, we'll be part of a virtual career fair, and I'll be happy to share some more information about that with you all. And then we also help you figure out like what career path you should take. So we will, and Alex will talk a little bit more about some of our pathways that we have, but we're always open to those conversations. Like, let's figure out what you like and see if this is a good fit for you and what's that first step towards reaching that goal. And so this is just a snippet of our platform. I'm not going to show it off because Alex is going to show it off a little bit. But this is kind of our homepage, and we have, you know, a handful of courses here, but we've got even more on the library and on our courses page. So Alex will show you all of that cool stuff in just a minute. And as I mentioned, so we partner with community-driven organizations and professional developers and companies that play a role in improving digital literacy skills. So we really just want to see people succeeding and beginning careers in technology. As I mentioned, kind of pre-COVID, partner sites throughout the state, libraries and companies served as a meeting location and helped to host events and promote the platform as a resource for the community. But now mentors just meet with students online. So we are a pretty agile group of folks. We're a small team, but we have moved very quickly to, you know, adjust during this pandemic and have just switched everything over to a virtual setting, as you all are seeing now. And we've had great success with that. And so we just hope to continue engaging. As long as this confines us to, you know, our homes, we will make sure that we are still connecting with all of you and providing opportunities to learn. All right, and so one other thing, I don't think I skipped, yeah, here we go. So you will hear me harp on this, you'll hear us all harp on this. One of the greatest resources that we have for learners is Slack. And so if you are not familiar with Slack, it is essentially a messaging team space, and it is very highly used in the tech industry. So we use that so our learners can also get a feel for what they'd be using likely on the job. And it's also just a very easy, quick way to say, hey, I have a question. So I'm going to throw this question in Ask a Mentor channel. Or maybe, you know, I'm in the Beaufort area, so I want to connect with other learners in the Beaufort area. So I can easily go and find the channel specific to my area and then go ahead and start connecting with people or asking questions, whether they be technical questions or say, you know, hey, what can someone take a look at my resume? Like we're here for it. So I am going to wrap up. This is my contact information. Again, you all probably have it. Also, if you go to the website and that little chat box pops up, that's me. It gets directly to me. It is a real person. It's not a robot. And so I'm always happy to answer any and all questions that you have. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out. And then, so I'm actually going to stop sharing and pass it over to Morgan and then Alex. And Morgan's going to talk about our mentorship.
Yes, so Katie definitely hit a lot of the high points of our mentorship, which is awesome. Mentorship program. So we have partners, community members in the community who come on and support us as volunteers, mentors, and they serve in different ways. We have some that just kind of hang out in that Slack channel that you just saw and are available to answer questions. So think of it kind of like an open office hours at your availability and theirs for you to pop in, ask a question. Yeah, they do. People answer questions pretty quickly. If you throw it in the Slack, and you'll get a response for someone who is working in the industry and working in that language that you're asking a question about. So that's a really cool way to connect quickly with them. We also have the availability to match you one-on-one with a mentor. So as you're going through the course, if you want an additional layer of support to help you navigate that course or cheer you on through that course or help you figure out what next steps could happen after that course. You can have a one-on-one person that is your person throughout that process. And also, as Kaity mentioned, can help provide some of the career decision and job coaching and resume tweaking and that kind of thing on the end of that as well. We also have volunteers who teach our courses. So they're actually teaching assistants and instructors. So I was just kind of blown away as a new staff member that you have really industry professionals coming in and teaching these classes. So not only are you getting the content, you're really getting industry inside knowledge one-on-one. So you never know what that could lead to. But on the very surface, it's definitely relevant information and probably being used every day in the actual field. So lots of different ways for volunteers to connect, but all of those serve as benefits to you as learners, in addition to the support that you'll have from us as a staff.
Awesome. And we have a few of our mentors on the call too.
Yeah.
So if y'all want to unmute and just say hey real quick, we'd love to intro you. We're so grateful for you.
Snaps.
Awesome. We've got Sean and Steven at least. And hey.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, and Patrick's down here.
Yes, Patrick.
Yay.
And I was just going to say too, as you're thinking about maybe jumping in, these people are also great resources to figure out or to kind of springboard questions off of I'm thinking about jumping in. I'm not too sure. Tell me what you think. They're a great starting point as well as once you're an official learner with us.
Awesome. And with that in mind, I have tried to do this polling thing. So I'm going to try this and hopefully it'll work. So there's going to be 2 questions that are going to pop up. And so let me see if this works. So if you don't mind just selecting an answer to each of these, just to give us an idea of kind of where you're at as far as within your journey of learning to code and kind of what brought you here today. Is everybody seeing the poll? Okay, great. If it didn't work, we've got anybody seeing the poll?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got some nods. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, let's see. It's not showing me real-time results, so hopefully this worked. I'm going to end it. And you know what? Didn't work on my end. So my bad. We'll try again next time because it's showing 0 votes for everything. So I will dig into that and we'll hopefully have a better one next time. But if you want to reach out to us and talk more through where you're at, we're here to do that. So I'm going to pass it on over to Alex.
Awesome. Thank you, Kaity. The poll actually worked for me and I'm seeing the results. So I have some extra information you don't have. So I got you. Yeah, this is helpful. It's nice to kind of see we've got a good range of people. It looks like we've got lots of barely there, don't know what code is, maybe know a little bit. And we've got some people who have some experience. One of the cool things about our platform and what we're offering is this is a place for everybody. Just kind of for context, I'm a career changer. I majored in chemistry. I worked in hospitals and in medicine for a long time. Wasn't a doctor, just kind of worked in that field, in that area. So I switched totally to computers, went from people to machines, a whole different ballgame. And so it's fun to see how those skills translate. And if you're coming from a unique background or from something that's non-technical, you're really going to have a leg up. And so it's kind of a neat thing to have broad range and have lots of people to come in. What I really want to show here is the platform, which is the thing you're going to interact with probably the most, especially when you're getting started. And so I'm going to share my screen right quick. Let's see if we can make this work. All right, and everybody should be inside my personal SC Codes platform page. So the first time you log in, this is what you're going to land on. This is where you'll get. And this is all the courses that we offer. Now, the first thing that you'll go through is probably the learner's guide. And that's a great place just to get your feet wet, get used to the platform and kind of how we do things, move through some content, and learn a little bit about how to get in touch with us and what to expect. But after that, the fun part's the learning, right? So I want to go over kind of the pathways we have and what each of these courses represents, just at a really high level. Now, if you're coming in as one of these pre-beginners, or you're coming in and you don't even know what coding is, that's totally fine. We've got concepts courses, and that's where you want to go. So we have a concepts course for JavaScript, we have a concepts course for Ruby, and we have a concepts course for Java. Now, each of these different languages handles a little bit of a different part of the internet, a little different part of each website that you might build in the future. But it's a great way to get your hands dirty, to introduce yourself to what code is and how it works, and to start thinking like a programmer. Because that's really what this whole career and what this whole industry is. It's just a way of thinking. It's a new way of communicating. You're talking to a machine instead of talking with other people. And so these are going to get you in that mindset. It's totally okay if you have no experience. It's totally okay if you have some experience and you want to kind of freshen up, or you want to look at maybe a new language. Maybe you know what JavaScript is, but you don't know what Ruby is, or you're curious about Java. Drop into a concepts course. These should take you no longer than a weekend. If you've got a little bit of experience, it might just be a few hours. If it's something brand new, it might take you a couple days. But this is a really low commitment way to get started. So as you move up and you want to do something, a little more intense, you'll see we have these basics classes. And we've got these highlighted over here on the left as well. So if we click on just the basics courses, front-end basics is going to teach you how to make websites that look good. We're going to teach you how to scaffold out a site, how to provide all the color and the interactivity so the buttons light up and things move around. And we're going to teach you how to do things in a way that's accessible. Because a big thing for us is that not only is our platform accessible, but we want you building things that everybody can use. And so we're going to teach you all these things in our front-end basics course. Command line basics will teach you how to interact with your computer in a way maybe you never have before without having to look at pictures. Instead of seeing all these bright colors, you're going to be working in a boring looking terminal, but it's a superpower. It's really, really cool. It's kind of like driving a manual car instead of an automatic. And Ruby Basics is going to teach you how to deal with data and teach you how to work with the back end of a website, or the part of a website that serves up functionality. Now, again, these courses are good for introductions. If you don't have a lot of experience, you can drop right into a basics class. That's okay. You can take concepts before to get your feet wet. Basics might take you a couple weeks to finish. And what we've been doing recently is running basics in a virtual cohort. What that means is you log online, you get to talk with other students, you have a small group, and we kind of help guide you through the courses. So like Morgan said earlier, in terms of placing you with mentors and with resources, these are a really great way to take on a good chunk of work and come out with a new skill set. Now, if you're advanced, if you already know some code, or if you really want to dive in after taking other courses, we have our applications courses. These are big classes. Just as an example, I'm going to pop open this React one to show you. And it's going to take me a little bit to scroll through this class. And each of these has sub-lessons. So our applications courses are lots and lots of stuff. But at the end of an applications course, you're ready for an entry-level job. You're building real applications. You're building software on your own from scratch that you can put on the internet for others. We offer this for React, which is a super popular front-end framework, a way to build applications really quickly. And we offer it for Ruby on Rails, which is the same thing for the back end, or again, kind of the data side of things. Both of these courses will probably take you a few weeks, maybe even a couple months to complete. They're big, big courses, but it's nothing to be intimidated by. We're here to help you out, and that's really what we want to do. I want to kind of highlight two quick things here. One is, right now, we've just started offering this front-end certification pathway. Now, this is classes you've already seen here, right? I showed you the concepts, I showed you the basics classes, but this is the first time we've strung these classes together and said, hey, take a concepts class as a beginner, go through the basics class as an intermediate step, go all the way through the applications class, and if we see you've taken all three courses, we'll give you a special certificate showing that you've really dug in and you've shown that you can handle this side of things. As this little kind of sneaky surprise, we actually have the same thing for the data layer, for handling data and working on the back end of a website using our Ruby concepts, Ruby basics, and Ruby applications. But that's coming like early next year, so you're getting a sneak peek since you're here tonight. The last thing I want to talk about with our curriculum is that we're here for you, and this isn't the limit of our curriculum. Working with our mentors and working with the team is really what we want to do. So if you have an IT background and you're curious about maybe how to use some code to augment that, or you have a different type of technical experience and you want to know how to leverage that, reach out to us on Slack or send us an email and we can pair up with you to work on that. Really, the bulk of our curriculum is in our mentors and in our team, and we want to help share that with you. Everybody on this team is working to share our knowledge with you and just get it out there as much as we can. So for sure, if you see some of this and you're interested, but you want to dig deeper, or there's something you don't see here, let us know, and we've probably got somebody on staff who can help you out with it.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. So we will just dive right into Q&A. And so how we'd like to do this is two options. One, you can put it in the chat if you would prefer for us to just keep an eye on it and read it. And then I'm happy to read it out loud if you aren't comfortable unmuting or have any tech issues. But we do ask, if you do have a question, if you'll use the raise your hand little button. So if you don't know where that is, if you go down to the bottom of your screen and click on the participants button, you will it'll take you to another window that will show you some options. And one of those options will be raise hand. And so if you do have a question and would like to unmute and ask your question, please feel free to use that raise hand and we will call on you in the order that they pop up. We do have some coming in the chat already. And so Elizabeth says, what type of computer do you need? So Alex or Caleb or anybody want to jump on that one?
Yeah, I can jump on that one. Elizabeth, thanks for asking. That's a great question. For introductory content, you can do it on any computer. You don't have to download anything. You don't have to install anything. It'll work right inside your web browser. So if you've got a Windows computer, if you've got a Mac, if you've got kind of a Linux or something custom, doesn't matter. Totally fine. You can log in and get started. For some of our more advanced courses, you may have to download some things, but we've had students complete that content on Windows machines and on Mac. So whatever computer you have, let us know if you have trouble and we'll make sure we help you and we'll make sure we update the curriculum so other people with a computer like yours can complete it too.
Awesome. Yeah, great question. All right.
Yeah, and Katie, just as a follow-up there, Katie had mentioned a Chromebook.
Yep.
You can complete these courses on a Chromebook. There are some steps that'll be a little bit weird, but we can help you out with that. So if you do any of the advanced classes on a Chromebook, you'll just want to hop in Slack and let us help get you set up.
Awesome. And I see Roy has his hand up. So go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question, Roy.
Hello. So I have found myself in a lucky position that I'm going to be starting an online full stack development course next week. And I was wondering, even if I'm not participating in your specific curriculum, are there still mentors available?
Yes, absolutely. We are happy to connect you with wherever you are, even if you're not learning on our site, we have this amazing resource. And so I would definitely, first and foremost, encourage you to join our Slack channel. That is a great place. You wouldn't be the first person in this similar situation. We've had folks who are taking classes elsewhere who just need a little more help. And we're just a lot more available usually than more traditional settings. And so we are absolutely open to that. So please feel free to reach out to us via Slack or via email. We will be happy to help you.
Okay, definitely. Thank you very much. How do I get access to y'all's Slack?
So I put a link in here. It's probably been buried in the chat by now, but I will post it again. Let me dig that up. Oh, Alex is on it. So Alex just put the link in the chat. So please go ahead and join there. It's easy and free. And then also if when I send out this recording to everyone after sometime tomorrow, I'll also include the link there as well. So if you miss it, we can definitely get you connected still. Awesome. And then Michael says, how long does it usually take someone to complete all the classes from the intro to the advanced classes?
I can take that one. So Michael, great question. To a certain degree, it depends on the person. And it also depends on whether you're starting from zero or maybe you have a little bit of experience. The introductory classes will typically take you, depending on how fast you learn, anywhere from, maybe an afternoon to a whole day or so. The intermediate classes, that might take you up to a week, depending on how dedicated you are, how fast you read things and understand things. Because sometimes it does you good to kind of reread some of the things and go through them again. The more advanced courses will probably take you a couple weeks, and that will require you to really work through and kind of chew on some of those problems and really have to try and figure those out. So I would say overall, somewhere between a month and maybe a couple months. Other mentors might feel differently about that, but that's my estimation.
Yeah, I think that's a good estimate, Caleb. The big thing we're going to push for everybody, and just again, little cheat code since you're here, the most important thing you can do when learning this stuff is do a little bit every day. So to Caleb's point about dedication, the point of our program is we know that life is out there and we're not trying to take you away. You shouldn't lock yourself away from your kids. You shouldn't avoid going out and getting some air or skip meals or anything wild. We want to give you curriculum that meets you where you're at and that you have time for. So if you have 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day to just hop in and do a quick refresher, that's awesome. That's great. If you've got hours a day, that's fine too. And the amount of time you put in is going to affect how long something takes. I think at the outset, if you're brand new and you're going from the very start to the biggest lesson we have, you're probably looking at, I'd say maybe six to 8 months. And that's doing, maybe 20, 30 minutes a day, which I think is pretty reasonable. For most folks, you'll probably spread it out a little bit during the week, maybe do a little more on the weekend as time allows. But the best thing you can do for your own kind of growth is do something every day, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes. And that's why our classes are structured the way they are. So you can drop in and do a little bit here and there.
Absolutely. Awesome. So Elizabeth says, so if we are beginners, do you recommend front-end certification pathway or the concepts courses? So I'll let whoever jump in, but I will say, so the concept courses are actually part of one of the JavaScript concepts course is part of the front-end certification pathway. So it's really, either one is a great place to start because they're essentially starting in the same place. However, if you're more interested in like the back end side, and I will let someone who has a lot more knowledge of that jump in, but then you might want to start with like the Ruby concepts or Java concepts versus the JavaScript.
And Elizabeth followed up there with a question, what is backend? I don't want to go I don't want to spoil class for you and just go into teacher mode, but I'll do a little teaching. That's okay. So when we talk about internet and websites and that sort of thing, we talk about front end and back end. And the best analogy I can think of is like a restaurant, because in a restaurant, you have front of house and back of house. If you're not familiar with those terms, front of house is anything a customer interacts with. So when you come into the restaurant, you sit down at a table, you get your meal, you talk to a waiter or waitress, you have somebody who greets you when you enter. That's all front of house. And that's what the front end is. It's the website that people see. So when you go to a website, the colors, the shapes, the sounds, the pictures, that's all the front end of the site. Now, just like in a restaurant, you couldn't have that front end if you didn't have a kitchen or back of house. For a website, you couldn't have that front end if you didn't have a back end. And the back end is what serves up data. So when you log in, the back end is what confirms you are who you say you are. It checks your username, it checks your password, it delivers your email. It's the thing that catches the email and presents them to you. What you'll find as you start getting into programming is there's a concept of full stack, which means you do everything. And that's great, but that's overwhelming when you're getting started. So as you get started, you'll probably gravitate either towards the front end, which tends to be kind of the more decorative side of things, or the back end, which tends to be a little more analytical. And that's why we draw those distinctions, because some people don't really care if they're working on something people see. They want to work with numbers and work with the interesting data. Whereas some people would rather not mess with that data and they want to focus on a little bit more creativity, a little more visual side of things. If you're just getting started, and this is brand new skill for you, I highly recommend starting with front end. The only reason I say that is it gives you something to see. When you start with back end, it can be a little bit boring. Front end is bright and colorful right away, and you'll start getting interaction. And so that can be really motivating.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. All right. Tanya, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. You have your hand up. Please feel free to unmute and ask your question.
Hey, thank y'all so much for having everyone here for free. I just have a quick question because I am a very soft skills type of girl. That's my bread and butter. That's how I make my money right now. And it's so I'm here at home, working from home. Is this a skill that we can work from home at?
Oh, yes, absolutely. This is one of the most flexible industries to get into if you are interested in working remotely. And so as COVID has kind of even further hammered in that point, so most tech companies I know, speaking of, I'm here in Charleston, where I am specifically, the majority, I think 100% I read recently, have at least a portion of their employees working from home. And I think 50% of them are 100% remote. And so that's only going to continue, I think, even past COVID. Because prior to COVID, most developers, again, dependent upon the company, but there is a lot of flexibility in being able to work from home or work remotely. So absolutely, this is a wonderful field to get into. And one of the things I forgot to mention going through the kind of overview slide deck is the tech industry is actually grown since COVID started. Like, this is one of the few industries that's actually excelling in these times. And so these are wonderful skills to gain if you would like to, pandemic or whatever the future brings, kind of foolproof your career. These are the skills to have.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Glad you're here. Awesome. So there are a few more questions here. This says, oh wait, these are all just comments, but Kenneth says, I even know someone working for a great development company and his company doesn't even have an office. SC Codes does not have an office. So it's definitely becoming more and more the trend. And I think people are saying, why are we paying for this building when people can do what they're doing at home and save us some rent money? So it's definitely becoming more and more popular.
You mind if I jump in real quick?
Please.
Yeah, I was just thinking about soft skills, and that is an amazing thing to have. I will tell you, coming from switching over from being a paralegal and then coming over to do tech, I had a lot of soft skills as well. And there's actually two sides to being a developer. A lot of times you will be client facing and talk to clients a lot. And those soft skills really come in handy and can help your career grow a lot faster than people who can just code. So just an amazing thing to have if you have a soft skills job. So I just want to throw that out there.
Absolutely. There is it's kind of that, it's a stereotype, and it's no longer valid that like you as a software developer are just going to be like sitting in this dark cave, like on your computer all day long. Like that's not a thing. And so you've got to bring those soft skills. And so the more well-rounded you are, and that's especially true and like a really good advantage for people who are switching careers, is you're bringing in all of this knowledge and experience in these other realms. And you can absolutely apply those skills to a career as a software developer. And so it's definitely not kind of this, kind of that thought of, what's portrayed in all of these old cheesy movies. It truly is a very, very client facing, very team oriented career. Awesome. So who else has questions? Jean says no office space. No. Let's hope not. Awesome. So we've got another question. It says, can you talk about the jobs in SC? are companies that will be attending the virtual job fair looking for beginner developers. So I will quickly talk about the virtual job fair, and then I'll pass it over to whoever wants to talk about kind of the job market. I'm happy to, but they're in it. So, so the virtual job fair, yes, it is actually kind of catered for those trying to enter into the tech field. So it is a completely virtual event. There are a handful of really amazing companies that have already signed up to join. Blackbaud is the one that's coming to mind right now, but I know that there are many others. And basically it's through an app called Ping, which is through one of our partners, Tallo. And I would highly recommend you all checking Tallo out, Tallo. Not to get on a tangent with that, but that's a really cool place that you can go on and create a profile for employers to find you. And you can actually show off your digital badges from courses that you complete on our site. But I can answer more questions about that later for sure. But Ping is an app of theirs, and it's kind of like, for lack of a better word, or better analogy, it's like Tinder for employers and job seekers. And so you fill out a profile of what you're looking for and what skills you have, and then you either match or don't match with what this employer offers or is looking for. And so at the end of this, I think a 24-hour period, all of the matches are able to contact one another. And so if a company says, oh, you're checking all of these boxes that I'm looking for, they can then reach out and contact you and hopefully bring you in for an interview. So it is definitely, I mean, it's looking for all skill levels, but I do know that the reason that we are involved is that there are those looking for those entry level positions on that career fair. And then, okay, go ahead, Caleb.
I can speak a little bit too about the types of companies in South Carolina. In Charleston, I spent a year down there in 2019 for my first software job. And I worked at a company called Booz Allen Hamilton. And they are a government contractor. And in Charleston, there's a lot of health organizations and government contractors in that area. And you can make a great career for yourself working at one of those. Columbia and Rock Hill especially are a growing tech industry, tech scene. In Greenville, there's a smattering of all kinds of different tech companies. There's a lot of just kind of standard software development agencies. That's kind of where I am right now. Tying in, we talked about working from home. Working from home means that you can work for any company in the world, as long as they're okay with working from home. But I am working for a company that was originally out of Illinois currently. And we have people all over, this side of the US. And I've previously worked for a company that was in Florida. And I didn't have to be in either of those places. I was able to work from my home, which was awesome. So huge advantage for the tech industry. And as far as the beginning jobs, there are those. You do have to kind of sift through and kind of figure out, what people are looking for, what people are asking for. But there definitely are those jobs. They're competitive, but they are out there for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Caleb. Yeah, and so I, even prior to at my gig here with SC Codes, I joined in August. I spent the last 5 years in the boot camp space. So kind of what Roy was talking about, the full stack program. Stephen was one of the students there. Love him. And Alex was an instructor at the same school. And so we know very much the industry and the job market. And part of my job was to help people find jobs and help people land jobs and make sure that they had a great resume and an awesome portfolio, and they know how to write a cover letter, and they know how to network and the importance of networking and all of these things. So outside of the tech help, because I am admittedly not technical, But as far as the soft skills, career help stuff, like we're here for that too. And so we can help you if you're in a specific city and you need some connections. There's a very good chance that we can probably dig some up out of our network and get you connected, even if it's just for, hey, here's someone you can have coffee with and you can talk to them about their company that they work for. There's so many ways that we can assist you from a non-technical point of view as well.
I do want to highlight one thing kind of in that vein. I think Caleb and Katie both covered like how we can help you find a job and what kind of jobs are out there, but we're SC codes. So it would be remiss if I didn't kind of call out the SC part. South Carolina has a really great cost of living. And so especially for this kind of industry that's growing and having the opportunity to, whether you're working from home or working for a local office, the jobs around here are going to have pay numbers that you may see, oh, wow, I could go to San Francisco and make twice as much. But in reality, in San Francisco, you're going to be paying 4 times as much in rent. And so, part of our goal is to educate people that you don't have to leave South Carolina for those cool jobs. And not only are there good jobs here, you can live a lot better. And I think a lot of us are probably aware of that, especially based on kind of who we cater to. A lot of you already have jobs, you're already kind of settled in. But I just want to highlight that South Carolina is a really good place to be in this industry. You don't have to be in New York or California to do the cool stuff and live a good life.
Awesome, 100%. Great. Well, we have about 10 minutes left. So any other questions that anybody has at the moment, feel free to virtually raise your hand or throw it in the chat. And while we're kind of waiting on that, I do want to, oh, Tanya has another one. Let me, go ahead, Tanya.
Yes, thank you so much. So just so I'm clear, because see, I'm very novice. I'm very like call center and script driven. So SC codes is, can you kind of go back over it again? So SC code is like a programmer, you'll be a programmer?
Yes, so exactly. So, and you software developer, programmer, coder, it's kind of all used somewhat interchangeably, but yeah, absolutely. So our goal is to give you the skills that you need to be able to write code and get a job doing just that. So whether that's building websites, whether that's maintaining database stuff, which, we aren't too deep into the database side of things, but we've got pretty much whatever you want to do in the software development world. We either have a course for you or we can provide you resources to find kind of your niche. So if we don't offer it, we know people who can probably help you anyways. But yeah, so we are absolutely focused on getting you a job as an entry level or junior level developer. Did you have another question? You go ahead and unmute.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So it sounds really too good to be true. This is really great. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So going forward, after you complete everything, beginner, intermediate, and advanced, you get a certificate. You can apply to jobs as a beginner programmer / coder. And it sounds like that these, as a coder or programmer, that I would be looking at, what did he say, back end information, like all, so basically, is it like all words and numbers that you're looking at?
So that's jump in, Alex?
Yeah, sure. That's a really great question. This comes back to that difference between like back end and front end. If you're analytical and you really like just looking at words and numbers, that's totally fine. You can do that. But on the front end of things, there's a broad range of opportunities. You can work with code, just like we're going to teach you the kind of that code side of things, which is a lot of words, a lot of numbers. It's not a lot of math, which I know can be intimidating. People hear numbers and go like, I don't want to do math all the time. It's not a ton of math. It's just kind of knowing how to move things around. But there's also things like web design, where you're not even really doing much code. You know kind of how the code works, but you're laying things out. You're picking colors and shapes and images and helping with copy. So we're not going to pigeonhole you by saying you take these classes and you're going to do this one thing and this is the only job you're able to do. Tech is a broad space. Is there a particular thing you're interested in doing?
We work with a lot of it's like with bankruptcy and also dealing with like credit cards and things like that. So I'm actually typing in data. I'm typing in notes. I'm interested in everything. Everything's pretty cool to me. So I do a lot of, talking one-on-one, like inbound and outbound calls. So I would be actually on the back end looking at like stuff that I'm typing in, or I'm kind of confused about
Yes.
that.
Yeah, sure.
So I think the easiest way to kind of, Alex, do you want to share your screen and kind of show her like a little bit of like what it actually, like writing code looks like?
Oh yeah, we're gonna do some live coding here.
Yeah, why not, right?
And make it happen. Let's do it. All right.
Sorry, y'all. I know y'all got like 10 minutes left. My bad.
Oh no, this is.
I think
this is kind of great for everybody. Let me find my Zoom window. I'm all over the place here. And let's open back up to SC Codes if I can get it to work. What is this doing? Can y'all see, what's everybody seeing right now? Are you seeing SC Codes?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good. Then we'll start here. So
yes, sir.
When we talk about code and words and that sort of thing, kind of like you mentioned, I'm actually gonna change the words on this button. And I'm gonna show you what that looks like as a developer, as a programmer. So over here on the left side, and here's your sneak peek again, I'm in teacher mode. This is what the web page looks like when it's sent over from the back end. So we talk about back end and front end, right? Back end is where somebody has written this code. Front end is what I'm seeing. So somebody put this code together. Now you can see there's some things in here that don't really look like words. There's probably some automation. There might be something that helped build this, but this is what a web page looks like, just words. And some of these words are words you can read already. Things like style, things like class, which may not mean much to you, but just represents how we classify something. And then inside this get started button, we got the words get started. And so all I have to do if I wanted to change that is say, let's go. And now the web page looks different. Now here's the key thing here's the key thing about back end versus front end, right? If you log in, your web page isn't going to look any different, because when you log into a web page, the web server on the back end, a computer somewhere way across the country, is going to give you this code. And when it gives you that code, it's going to give you the code somebody saved in the back end. And so what I'm looking at on my computer, what I just changed here is just for me. It's on my computer and I'm sharing my screen with you. But that's all programming is. If I had access to the back end, I could change that code and I could save it, and then everybody would see let's go instead of get started. That's your first program. That's your first website right there. That's all you have to do. And so that's what we're going to be teaching you how to do, is translate and understand this kind of new language over here that you're seeing on the left into what people see on the right. And if you find that you really like the part on the right, you like the colors and you like moving the boxes around, then you probably lean front end, and that's okay. If you find you really like this, you like the way the code looks, and you'd rather just drag this tab across the screen, which is me. I'm a huge nerd for code, so I'll move that out of the way all day. That's backend. That's okay. You want to focus on code, but you have those options. It's a super broad field, and so we're not going to stick you somewhere and say you have to look at it this way or that way. We're going to give you a toolbox and then let you go out and decide what you want to do with it.
Thanks, Alex.
Sure.
And don't let all of that intimidate you either, because that was a lot on there. So that's not day one stuff, so don't worry. Michelle, you have your hand raised. Go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yes.
So I do, and I apologize for joining you guys later. It was a big wreck out on the highway and I got stuck in it. And then I came home and tried to keep the dog away and he kept scratching on the door. I'm like, he's gonna tear it down, let me let him in. So I apologize, please forgive me.
No worries.
But my question is, I do, for the agency I work for, I do a lot of content on our website. And I so much want to do the back end part of it, because it just seemed more exciting to me than to just continue to type regular words. I want to know how everything works and to make it, spruce it up way more better than what it is. So, I mean, where would you recommend I would start it?
Yeah. So I would say, so when it comes to like what's on our platform, the first and foremost thing I would recommend for anyone is the Getting Started Learner's Guide, simply because that's just a great overview of how to interact with our site and where to begin. But I would also then say the JavaScript concepts is probably going to be a great entry point for you. And we actually have, I'm going to segue into some of the other conversation that's happening in chat. We actually have a virtual class that's covering the entirety of the JavaScript concepts course next Wednesday, December 9th. It's about a 3-hour course. It's going to be led by Sean Reed, one of our mentors, and it's going to take place from 6 to 9 p.m. And it is a chance to be guided through that information. And then again, like this, ask questions and kind of get that clarification and dig into what it is, you know, that you're looking at and what your next steps are from there. And so, Michelle, if you're free next Wednesday, I hope that you'll join us for that. And I will be sending out, I'm going to send a follow-up email to everyone that made it onto this call. And I will include the link to register for that as well. So we would love to have you all there for that first JavaScript concepts course. Awesome.
Edna,
great. I know it is. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Edna, I think you had a question earlier about nonprofits to help. Did anybody answer you on that?
I don't think I did.
Would you mind unmuting and asking your questions so we could help you out?
It seems like I had read when I had started about possibly helping some nonprofits once I get the knowledge that I need. And is that something also that you can help us find people that are companies that need help, nonprofits with coding?
Yeah, I would say yes. Sorry.
I'll let Kaity go. Yeah, we're both excited about this.
So excited. So yeah, so that's kind of goes in that same vein of helping you figure out like what companies you want to target or what type of industry, like specifics you're looking for in a career in tech. And nonprofits absolutely need tech people. We're a nonprofit. And so we also have like that side of things because we know other nonprofits in the state. We can absolutely help connect you. Morgan, our volunteer and community coordinator, comes from the nonprofit world. She's extremely well-versed on that side of things. So we can absolutely make those connections for you and help you get plugged in if that's where you want to take your career.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for your question, Edna. And I know we are running out of time. I'm happy to stay put, but if you do have to jump off, feel free. But we can get through the rest of these questions before we hop off of here. And so I'm gonna make sure I haven't missed any.
I think there have been a couple questions about cohorts.
Yes, okay, great. So so we've done them a few times in the past, but starting next year, we are gonna be launching even more. And so basically what it looks like thank you for complimenting my Christmas tree. Sorry, just saw that. I had to make it festive in here. But so our cohorts are basically, it's a virtual classroom, but it's extended over several weeks. And so for an example, what we just finished up this fall was our front-end basics cohort. And because that's an intermediate level course, it's a little bit heavier lift. And so that we can't knock that one out in a one-night course. So instead, we have you join a virtual cohort. And so our folks joined Caleb and Stephen. They met on different nights of the week, 1 hour, one night a week for 6 weeks. And then by the time they were finished, they had completed the front-end basics course. And that won't always be the schedule necessarily. And it depends on from class to class and how much content is in that. But we promote those very heavily on all of our social media. We send them out via email. We've got an event calendar we consistently update on our website that will show you when the next registration is for those virtual cohorts. And so if you are interested in joining in the evenings in a more of a, you know, class feel. And so you're learning alongside other folks and being led by an instructor. Keep an eye out for those. They'll vary in length of time. They'll vary, you know, in schedule. And so if something doesn't work out quite right with your schedule, hang tight. We'll probably offer something else before too long. But one of the things we're really excited about is we're going to be launching our first React application. So that advanced course, that final course in that front-end certification pathway, we're going to be launching that course, that cohort sometime in the early part of next year. And so that is going to be a bigger time commitment. We're actually probably going to have more of an interview process for those who want to join to make sure that they've you know, you're going to have completed JavaScript concepts and front-end basics to be able to take React applications. And because it's going to be that heavier lift, we just want to make sure you're in it for the long haul. But other than that, we do shorter term and we do one-night classes fairly consistently. We try to have a few a month. And so, yes, Caleb just posted the event calendar. So check that out, bookmark it, check it regularly. But if you are on our MailChimp like email list, you will definitely get a heads up about that. But follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever you're at, we're there too. So we post all of those announcements there. Awesome. I think, have I missed any questions? If I've missed your question, raise your hand. I want to make sure that we get to everyone. Patrick mentioned, so someone asked about age restrictions. So technically, due to, there's a lot of child protection stuff that goes on online when there's like especially with like we have a discussion forum and different things like that. And so technically no one under the age of 13 is really able to get onto our platform, but it is also catered towards adults. So we've had some high school students definitely be successful and show a lot of interest in this. And so I would say, as far as like an unofficial age restriction, I would say high school aged and older, but keep in mind that it is built for adults who are ready to change careers and enter into the workforce.
We do have lots of mentors who have kids. We come big, broad background here. So if you have questions about your kids and maybe helping them get into this, or maybe how we might tailor some of our content towards kids or what you might find for them, we can definitely help you with that. So just reach out if you have questions there.
Yeah, there are tons of resources out there for kids too. So many free. So we're always happy to point you in the right direction. Thank you, Susan, for your very kind words. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you for being here. Anybody else? And then we will wrap things up. As I said, I will send out some information to everyone. Yes, Bob, this will be recorded and I will send it out to everybody who attended. So as long as you registered, which you had to, or you probably wouldn't get the Zoom link, you will be on my list to send this out to. Awesome. Jean asks, any Python stuff on the horizon?
We've talked about Python. It is on the roadmap, but we don't have anything like ready for you. Not going to be a Christmas surprise Python course, unfortunately.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming. It was so nice. This is one of the best turnouts we've had in a while. So this was so much fun. Again, reach out to us at any time. Send us an email, chat through the website. We are all, again, join Slack. Do it. Just do it. We are happy to answer any questions that you have. We are truly here for you. We want to see you succeed, and we want to help you any way that we can throughout that process. So I hope everyone has a very happy holiday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you again hopefully very soon.
Thank you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.